Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined by Gervonna Ragland. Excited to have her here. She's the owner of her own company. It's called Duly Organized. Yes, Duly Organized from Bloomfield, New Jersey. I have a feeling we're going to get some tips today on organization, but there's so much to her work that she can really help you with. Gervonna, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
Well, nice to have you. Please introduce yourself and company to our listeners and viewers today.
Hello again. My name is Gervonna, and I am the owner of Duly Organized, and we are a full-service home organization company and home office design. We got started in 2020 during the pandemic when a lot of people were working from home, and we saw a need to help people out because they were surrounded by their stuff where they'd never been surrounded before. And we saw a need to kind of help people get reacclimated in their spaces so that they can be productive at
Oh,
home.
God bless you, Gervonna. I wish I live out on Long Island and I have a 6 and 8-year-old. My house is a disaster, piles everywhere. I'm organizationally challenged. I really am. And I blame it on time, but it's true because then it's the sports, it's everything. And I have piles of stuff. I feel it. And I feel the stress it leads to someone like me, like someone out there. The clutter is like mental clutter and it really affects someone. And I think being home, like you mentioned during COVID, you really got to experience it because we were home all the time in our stuff. And especially with little kids, the toys, the clothes, you got to make time to donating. And it's not always an easy task. So it's good to have someone come in here to help. Let me just point out your website. Would you mind sharing your contact information?
Absolutely. My website is dulyorganized.com. That's DULY, the word organized, all one word, .com. And there you can schedule your free consultation and see some of our work.
Perfect. Well, let me ask, you're in Bloomfield, New Jersey. So client-wise, where do you travel to?
I travel throughout northern New Jersey.
Okay.
So I'm in Essex County, Bergen County. I also do Morris County, Hudson County. So within about 30 minutes travel of my home base.
Got it.
And in
Well,
New Jersey, with New Jersey traffic, that could be a 5-minute walk,
of course.
30 minutes away.
Well, so I know you mentioned you started the company during COVID, but let's talk pre-COVID. Tell me about you. Where did you grow up? What brought you into this field? You clearly must have a passion for organizing and cleaning. So I want to get to know you, and I think it's important for our listeners to do the same.
Okay. So I am a Jersey girl, born and raised. I was born in Patterson, just a little outside of Bloomfield. And how I got here actually is before this, I was in corporate America. And my job there was always process development, product development. So organizing things, but in a different way. And how I got here is that in 2020, like a lot of people, I lost my job.
Hmm.
But it wasn't due to COVID, it was actually due to more sinister circumstances, which caused me to have some emotional and um to put it bluntly, I was bullied and pushed out of my job. So just to put it clear. And so as a result, I found myself in my space, like you said, that mental clutter, that emotional clutter, it began to take place in my physical environment, and seeing the need to now get back on track, I started to clear out that clutter and realized that I enjoyed it and figured, you know what, how about I do this for a living to help others kind of overcome that mental and emotional clutter and help get it out of their physical spaces to help the healing process. So that's kind of how this came about.
Got it. Well, wow, we're a pleasure to have you here. And let me ask you, do you have any children, family? What is yours? I see beautiful artwork behind you. Is that children's artwork? I don't want to offend you. It could be like a Van Gogh, and I'm like, he's insulting my artwork. But what is that?
No, I am married 18 years now. We have no children, and that artwork is actually ours, paint and sip.
Oh, it's
That's what we like to do
beautiful.
sometimes.
Oh my goodness. I'm looking at the one to the right, and from afar, I thought it was like Peppa Pig, and I'm trying to zoom in to see if it's a kid drawing or if it's flowers. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's flowers, supposed to be a wedding dress. That was my first stint
Oh,
at
oh.
at a paint and sip.
Oh my gosh, awesome. Well, let me ask you now. So here you are, you lose your job, I get it, and you realize, oh my goodness, this could be a great thing because you love clearly decluttering. Let me find out now. You come to someone's home. What are some of the areas, the rooms of the house that you specialize in? Do you do full service, everything? I mean,
I do full service everything. I will say my favorite thing to do though is
okay,
actually linen closets.
really?
Yeah, I know it seems strange, but my favorite thing is linen closets. I think it's because I love the smell of the
Mhm,
fresh
yes.
sheets and the fresh towels. I
I
really
love
like
fabric
linen
softener.
closets.
I put so much on my stuff, but okay.
Exactly.
So we're talking, okay, what about closets, bedrooms, garages,
Yes.
attics? Give me some examples of some of the work that you do. And I want to hear some stories of the clients you worked with and how you've helped save their lives.
Oh my goodness gracious. I do closets, I do kitchens, I do um basements. I One client I have, and I love her dearly because it was supposed to start out just doing like a little office design for her, where I designed her little office nook and put in her shelving and all that stuff. And it turned into, well, do the whole house.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it was great, because then I got to design a closet for her. I got to help her with her kitchen organization, and, just today on an Instagram post that I had out today, she goes, "I am just so happy that you came and did my home. I love it." And, it's stuff like that that makes me feel absolutely enthralled with what I do, that
So
I can
wait, say
help
now I just
someone.
learned something. So not just organization, you're also building cabinets and shelves. Tell me
Well,
about that.
yeah, so not necessarily building them, but if you need your space optimized or you need a system in place, I can help you figure out what you can put in that space to make it work. So
Mm-hmm.
there are certain systems that I use that I go to. I love the Container Store. I think most organizers do. And what I do is I help you really lay out and design your space and help you find the products to get the outcome that you desire. So if it's a home office, if it's um, you know, a new closet layout, I help you do
Mm-hmm.
those things as well.
Interesting. So some people also, though, I got to ask you, are very attached to their stuff. So that's got to
Mhm.
be explain that process of getting to know someone. And it's like, hey, you're coming to my house. It's embarrassing. I have clutter. I have this. And how do you get them to, detach from the stuff? Do some people say just do whatever you want? Some people probably say, I want to go through some of the stuff. So give me
Yeah.
an example of the detachment process and how you handle the clients.
Yeah, so it can be a very delicate process. I deal with a lot of individuals who have anxiety and
Mm,
they classify themselves as hoarders.
mm,
And the best way I find to work with them is to not make them feel forced. Like some people, when I come in, they say, "Oh my goodness, you're going to make me throw out all of my stuff." And that's not the case. I do understand that there are some things that people are attached to. So what I try to do is just gently walk them through the process and reason through why getting rid of an item might be a good idea. So I try not to force them. Um, and as we go through the process, I make them let go. So like some people, like they say their friends will come in and take their stuff and throw it out. I don't do that. I let them or walk them through letting go. So if you have that favorite pair of jeans, I'm not going to snatch them out of your hand and tell you to donate them. We're going to talk about it. We're going to go through that process, and I'm going to physically make you let them go and put them in the donation pile. And that way it gets them into get helps them get comfortable with letting things go, and eventually they start to enjoy the process.
got it. Good to know. Yeah, it's going to be a hard thing for some people. And you mentioned the word hoarders, right? Where we see those TV shows where people really have a lot of stuff, and some of us do. I mean, it's not to that extreme, but it's a hard thing to do, especially alone. So,
Mhm.
could you give us some tips on how do you start to organize?
Ooh, oh, start small.
Okay.
My thing I like to say is start small. So if you have, I always like to use a bookcase as an example. that needs to be organized. Just if you have loose papers, just start with the loose papers first. Get rid of that. If there's books you haven't read, just start small and slowly, um, one step, one day, one shelf at a time, start to get rid of that clutter, because it can be overwhelming, especially like you said,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it alone. So my tip is always start small and ask yourself questions. When was the last time I used this? When was the last time? Or if you go on a shelf and you say, oh, I didn't even know that was there. Ask yourself, if I didn't even know it was here, do I really need
Yeah,
it? And asking yourself those questions will help you now be able to process through and get rid of those things that you no longer need.
got it. And tell me some client examples, some stories about the work you've done. And I mean, by the way, we got to remind everyone at this time, or Gervonna, what are the best forms of contact for you and your company?
Um, my website, dulyorganized.com, and I could also be reached via telephone and text at 862
Perfect. And we got to point out on the website, you can actually see a portfolio of some of the work that you've done, which is awesome. It's good to see. So go to the website, dulyorganized.com. All right. So
Yes, and I'm
let,
also on Instagram. I forgot that too.
oh, good. Tell us, how do we find you on Instagram?
Instagram at duly organized.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. So tell us some stories. I want to hear some of these projects.
Oh, I think one of my favorites was there was, remember Ida? There was a client of mine whose basement, she had her closet in her basement,
Oh,
and a lot of her things got flooded out. And so she salvaged what she could, and then at the end she was like, I can't put it back. She was just too overwhelmed.
yeah.
And when I walked in, when she scheduled with me, she looked at me dead in my eyes and she says, I am not throwing away anything.
Mm.
And I said, okay, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
So we went through the process of starting to get her, clothes, hung back up and getting that space resituated. And before you knew it, we had between 18 and 20 bags of clothes to donate and give away. And so I just turned to her, I said, but you told me you weren't getting rid of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So just walking her through that process and helping her to understand, you know, most organization projects, especially in closets, is mathematics. You only have a certain amount of space to hang things. And if you have, 200 inches of space to hang and 900 inches of clothes, mathematically, it's not going to work. So helping her to appreciate that and seeing her space come back together really helped her to make that change from I'm not getting rid of anything to 15 to, I think it was between 18 and 20 bags of clothes that we got rid of.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. It feels good. Look, I just recently got my kids involved. I do have a lot of clutter in my home, but we got 27. We only took 24 bags at the moment because they had some winter stuff of, 2T, 3T, 4T clothes. We had 24 big clear, and I labeled them all, folded them all, and we actually brought them to a shelter. And I had my kids bring it to the shelter to experience what it's like and to show them that people need, and people don't live in a home like us. We need to give and to donate, which is a great thing.
Yes.
And that can make someone feel better about something. I mean, because we get attached. Some people have pieces of furniture from like hand-me-down generations, your grandparents or whatever, but at the same time, it is kind of clutter. You're not using it, it's sitting there. So I'm sure you suggest to a lot of people to do the donating, right?
Yes, to donate. Most of the time it's Goodwill, but like you said, there's a woman's shelter in Patterson that I do like to direct my clients to donate their things to. And it's something I help them do as well, because I had another client who, helping her declutter, she said, if you weren't here to help me actually physically take these things to the donation
Mm-hmm.
center, I would be so overwhelmed, because not only am I doing the work of decluttering, but now I have to now carve out time to take these things. So that's something else that I help do as we declutter. I'll take those things for you to the donation centers for you. So that's one less thing that you have to worry about.
Got it. Oh, wow. And what else do you love about your work and helping people organize their homes?
Yeah, I literally I fall in love with my clients.
Mm.
I love my clients. When I see them walking when I first work with them and I see them a little scared and, a little trepidatious, I believe the word is.
Yeah.
And then as the process goes on, to see them open up and then really get into the process and actually start falling in love with the process themselves. That's what I love about my work. I really love my clients.
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're clearly passionate about the work you do. And also for listeners out there today, check out our portfolio. Look at some before and after closets. Oh my goodness. Um, then you call it the Duly Organize It Yourself. You have home office design services and in-person home organization. Also, let's talk more about these design services that you do. Could you share some details of what type of design in a sense? You do 3D renderings as well?
Yes,
Oh,
I do.
wow.
So I'll go into your space and we'll talk about what it is you're trying to accomplish. And I'll take that information back and I'll do a 3D rendering and I'll try to find as close as you can with some of these
Yeah.
programs, um, the products that would look best in your space. If it's a closet or if it's a home office. I've even helped people redesign the layout, not the layouts of their room where they place their furniture just to make things a little more efficient for them moving around in their space. That can also help ease the feeling of clutter in your space.
Got it. And do you offer an initial like free consultation with someone over the phone? What's the process?
Yes. So I do virtual consultations and I do in-person consultations. In a virtual consultation, we'll get on Zoom or FaceTime or whatever you prefer, and you can walk me through your trouble areas and I'll look at them. And I also go in person. I prefer a lot of times to go in person because then I could really get a feel for the space, the size, the level of clutter that's there, because sometimes you only see the top layer, but it may go a little bit deeper. But I do offer both for my clients, especially during the pandemic. There were some who wanted to do virtual before they let someone into the home.
Got it. But let me ask you, about you and your services. What would you like our listeners to know? Why choose you and your company, Gervonna? Right? What makes you unique?
I am awesome.
Exactly. I love it. Yeah.
And not only that, I'm also a certified life and health coach. So I use those skills as well to kind of help people understand their habits and how it leads to their clutter and how they can make adjustments to help them further prevent their clutter. So I marry those skills together to kind of help make a full package of home organization and make it more holistic, not just about your stuff, but also about the person.
Of course. Yeah, it's true. Plus, you got to have that jive with that person, right? You got to feel like they could trust you. And, it's a process to have someone in your space. I have someone who says, as Giovanna worked in my pantry, she made recommendations regarding other areas in the kitchen that could use reorganization. And I didn't think my kitchen needed organizing, but I realized I needed her for every room in my house. This is from ZW from North Carolina. There's also someone else, Shadell from New Jersey. I share an office with my husband and things were all over the place. We wasted a lot of space. After an in-depth consult with Gervonna, we had an awesome design with seamless installation. Gervonna was a pleasure to work with and listen to my suggestions and concerns. I loved how everything turned out and I highly recommend Duly Organized. So it's great to also have positive reviews. Jeannie from New Jersey says she was amazing. Her crew was professional and very knowledgeable on the project, worked in a timely manner to get the job done. So you do have a team of people that work with you as well. It's not just yourself.
Uh, it's Yes, it is. I
Okay.
do have a team. It depends on the job. I do call independent consultants in to help if it is a larger job that needs a few extra hands.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Mhm.
Awesome. Well, we only have 3 minutes left in the show. We got off to a late start, unfortunately. Remind us how we can reach you. And to sum up today's show, what would you like to share?
Oh, I'm to sum up today's show, I would just like to share being organized is just not about your stuff. It's also about your mental and emotional well-being. So once you get that under control, um, things go a lot smoother. So I like people to understand that.
Good. Well, thank you again, Gervonna. One more time, tell us the website and Instagram page we can reach you at.
Sure, it's dulyorganized.com is the website, instagram.com/dulyorganized. And I could also be reached via telephone at 862-621-9231.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here. Excited to get to see you, to know you, and looking forward to the next time we speak. Hopefully it'll
All
be
right.
soon, and we'll talk more about your services. Thanks again.
Okay.
Guys,
Thank
check
you
out the
so much.
website and, even follow her on social media. Duly Organized. You can find her there. Gervonna Ragland, thank you again for your time. Have a fantastic day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.